Hi everyone, this is Revan, otherwise known as Cosmic Alignment, and this video is going to be about the current transit of Mars in Aries that began on the 31st of December 2018 and that will end on the 14th of February 2019. We're going to discuss the nature of Mars in itself, specifically expressed via Aries, and consider all the aspects that Mars creates during this transit journey in Aries. That way we can get an intuitive understanding as to the influence and the energy that this Mars energy begins its new evolutionary cycle with. So let's get right into this. Right, so let's start off by discussing the energy of Mars and the symbology of Mars. Okay, so if we look at the planetary symbol of Mars, we see that it is composed of two symbols. One of them being a circle, the second one being a cross. What these two symbols represent are, one, the circle represents spirit, wholeness, totality. It is consciousness itself, that divine immutable self that is not born and does not die on this physical realm. That's what this circle of spirit is referring to. It's referring to the sun, which is why both of them are circles. And here we're talking also about another symbol, being the cross. The cross represents the laws of the four elements, the four directions, what upholds this reality. In ancient times, the four elements were understood to be the principles through which all of creation is manifested through, and which finds its being within the fifth, the akasha, or the ether. So these two symbols, this formula to understand this archetype is that of the spirit, the divine self, the immutable aspect of consciousness, or the circle, adhering to or being below the cross of the four elements. So it represents a certain aspect of ourselves that has to adhere to the laws of the four elements to manifest and to create. And this is why Mars correlates to the personal will, to, you know, the self that actually has to work with the four elements to set things in motion to create. This is the aggressive masculine energy that goes out in the world and goes out and has a conquest or goes to war and overcomes or works with the four elements to manifest and to create and to fulfill the desires of the soul. Something else to know about Mars is that it is the lower octave of Pluto. The lower octave namely means that it is the lower vibration of a higher vibration. Now, for you that follow evolutionary astrology, you guys will be familiar with this idea that Pluto correlates to the soul. In more traditional astrology, Pluto represents death, rebirth, transformation. Yeah, why do you think that is? It's because the soul cannot be destroyed. It goes through transformation or metamorphosizes into new form and new form and new form, and either destroys itself and or recreates itself, or is going through this volcanic retransformation. Either way, it represents an aspect of self that is going through this perpetual evolution. So this is why Pluto in the evolutionary astrology correlates to the soul. It correlates to this deep desire within that is experiencing transformation, thereby, you know, representing the soul. A very deep aspect of the psyche is what Pluto represents. The aspect of Mars is more of a subjective awareness of our desires. Mars is the energy that has us become aware of what we want out in life, and we act upon those desires and we set things in motion. These desires are emanating from deep in the depths of the soul, i.e. Pluto. This is how they're interconnected. They both correlate to desire. Pluto to more of an unconscious, subconscious desire because it emanates from the depths of the psyche or the soul. Mars is more of a subjective awareness, a conscious, intentional awareness of these desires and putting them into motion. So this is a correlation of Mars and how it is basically us acting upon our desires and our impulses and our instincts is us listening to our soul, us following that intuition, that gut feeling, is us listening to that deeper aspect that emanates from the soul, i.e. Pluto, that is expressed through the channel of desire. So that's the correlation between Mars being the lower octave of Pluto and the energy of Mars. Mars in Aries reflects a new evolutionary cycle beginning. There's something new to discover about the self. The self is starting to begin a new process of forming a new self-identity. This is the masculine force within the collective, Mars, beginning a brand new cycle of discovering the self and what the self is really all about. This cycle of Mars in this whole journey of the zodiac will begin again on May 24th, 2020. So yeah, about a year and a half, we can say, is this transit of Mars going throughout the whole zodiac. And considering all the aspects that Mars creates while it's transiting Aries, I can tell you that the main theme is, or the main experience that we're all going to be noticing or are already experiencing, is this deep desire for deep transformation, completely transforming the personal identity. This strong drive to be just not satisfied where we've been at, no longer tolerating that stagnance, that mediocrity. There's a deep desire to change and metamorphosize the self. And at the same time, we're being confronted because while we have done work to let go of the past, from past lifetimes even, we haven't completely let go of those old patterns. We haven't yet. We still use those familiar ways of being, those old jobs, those old careers, those old friends as security blankets. They're comfortable. And at the same time, we've been developing our evolution, North Node Cancer, but we haven't completely integrated that into our being. So we are, so to speak, literally on the fence between our past and our future. This is resolved with this new urge to completely revolutionize who we are. There is this strong urge and strong restlessness to completely re-innovate what we call the self in our personal identity, so we can no longer be limited by the definitions that are arbitrary and that have been placed or projected upon us by the people that we grew up with, by our friends, by our family, by anybody other than our own personal voice, which is what ultimately Mars in Aries reflects, is a developing and the listening to our own inner voice and our own personal self-identity. Let's remember that Mars in Aries quite literally represents a coming out of being totally in unity with consciousness. Remember, Pisces seeks to dissolve the barriers of the self and to seek oneness with the all in all. Now Aries, completely coming out of this cosmic sea, completely submerged, now comes out into the world and wants to establish a personal identity, an own unique voice. This unique voice that we're establishing has to let go of old ways of being that we've inherited through our culture, through our family, our ancestry, our own soul's evolution, and old ways of being that we've currently still are relying upon, and letting go of all that and totally embracing the streak of genius to not know where we're gonna go, but just following our intuition and channeling that wisdom from the mental plane, the place where all ideas and concepts are at, which is what Uranus reflects. So let me get into the specific aspects that help me create this interpretation. So the first major aspect that Mars in Aries creates is on the 20th of January when it creates a 90-degree angle with Saturn in Capricorn. Interesting to note here too that this is the same day that the Sun enters Aquarius. Aquarius seeks to liberate itself from the status quo, i.e. Saturn. And on the same day, Mars, the personal will, creates a square or a tension aspect, a challenging aspect with the status quo, i.e. Saturn. It's cosmic synchronicities, right? So this Mars and Saturn square represents this very classic fiery Aries and earthy, practical, down-to-earth Capricorn difference in orientation. Mars Aries wants to go in every direction and explore any and every avenue. Capricorn Saturn wants to take a step back, audit, take inventory, create a plan, and slowly but steadily and with persistence and perseverance, achieve that end goal result. This is a tortoise versus a hare classic energy that we're dealing with here. And literally what it translates to is Saturn, the elder within, reminding this Aries youth, Mars, aggressive masculine energy, what it's here to do. Becoming self-aware, doing some inner reflection, some inner contemplation on how to utilize our energy the best is what this elder is here to remind us. And so this elder, Saturn, reminds Mars and Aries of what it is here to do. It reminds us of our purpose, our dharma, our responsibilities, and what we are here to do and to actualize here on this earthly material realm. Now, the reason why the main theme that I gave this journey of Mars and Aries in this year is because it forms a 90-degree angle, a square aspect with Pluto. This is basically a deep desire for transformation. It's like deep volcanic desire to implode and explode and completely be reborn again. Rising from the phoenix, from the ashes. This is Mars square Pluto energy. Very aggressive, very deep, very wanting that transformational, deep, passionate, feeling it in the blood, in the body type of energy. It's really potent and really strong. This happens on the 1st of February. Interesting to note too is that on the 8th of February, Mars goes ahead and sits right in between the two lunar nodes. The lunar nodes I refer to as the oscillation points of the personality because the south node represents the old familiar behaviors that we have inherited from our past lifetimes or old conditioning. The north node is our evolutionary path. So this is quite literally the tug from the past and the future. This dynamic is created by these two polarities. Mars being right in between, the personal will reflects that we have not totally let go of old familiar patterns that provide us security, but also provide us stagnance and do not allow us to grow. At the same time, squaring the north node reflects that we have been doing some work to develop our evolutionary path, but at the same time have not completely integrated this aspect into the self. So again, there's this on the fence, back and forth, developing that but not fully integrating or letting go of either aspect of our past that might be anchoring us in old ways of being, in old paradigms, and not completely integrating and embracing this new paradigm we're being called to embrace and to actualize. Now, at the same time, this Mars and Aries transit also experiences two beautiful harmonious trines. The first one being on the 18th of January with Venus in Sagittarius. This is the masculine and feminine archetypes within the consciousness reaching harmony. This is basically, reflecting this inner transmutation, this harmony, this blessing, and this beauty reached in terms of how we balance our inner masculine and feminine energies. In fiery signs, specifically in Aries and in Sagittarius, reflects that there is a deep desire to discover something new about the self and to actualize our own personal truth. Sagittarius wants to embody our own personal truth, our own personal guidance and philosophy, and Aries wants to discover something new about the self. So these two energies seek and require independence and freedom. So this reflects a commitment on all of our parts towards our own personal evolution and growth. And we will not tolerate any constraints upon that freedom and independence that we require to discover something new about ourselves and to embody and live our own personal truth. The second beneficial trine is on the 25th of January. Mars creates a trine with Jupiter in Sagittarius. Jupiter is the planet and the archetype of abundance, prosperity, and expansion. These two trines in themselves reflect that this cycle that we're currently beginning, where we're discovering new skills and abilities that will integrate and embrace into our personal identity, will bring us prosperity and abundance. There is a beauty in it. There's a creative process in which we're discovering and utilizing and expressing our creative energies, i.e. Mars, Aries, trine, Venus, Sag. And at the same time, there's going to be, and there is a lot of optimism and a lot of prosperity and abundance coming from this optimism, reflected by this trine with Jupiter and Sag. And the last aspect that I feel puts the cherry on top and resolves this square, this in-between, this on the fence aspect of Mars being right in between the lunar nodes is that on the 12th of February, 2 days prior to Mars transiting into Taurus, on the 14th, Mars conjuncts Uranus on the last degree of Aries, the 29th degree. This Mars conjunct Uranus reflects that we're ready to liberate ourselves from our old conditioning and any arbitrary self-definition that limits and constricts our own personal self-expression. This reflects a deep desire to let go of the past and to transform radically our own inner environment and outward environment as well. Any old conditioning that provided security and comfort, we're totally ready to let go of. It's like Uranus is here to say that old paradigm is no longer. And we see this genius and this creativity, and Mars and Aries completely takes it on. And so this new cycle is all about a deep transformative desire to completely radically transform the self and our outward environment, so completely letting go of old definitions of self. And at the same time, this is gonna unfold into a beautiful manifestation, hence why there's this beauty with Venus, and also reflects this harmony inside, within, between the inner masculine and the inner feminine aspects of the self. And this promises abundance and prosperity and expansion, i.e. trine with Jupiter. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this interpretation and this kind of thorough, kind of detailed study into Mars and Aries. Please let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this format of looking at the transits, i.e. the planetary studies of Mars and Aries, or if you'd like me to kind of stick to just kind of weekly by weekly. Let me know your thoughts. I am recording a Venus and Sagittarius video. I will be posting the link in the description. So yet again, thank you so much for watching this video, for checking out my channel. Please subscribe if you enjoy these. I will be posting more and more and more. I am not anywhere close to being at the point of production that I want to be. So look forward to a lot more content. Anyways, thank you for checking this out again. This is Revan, otherwise known as Cosmic Alignment, and see you next time.